So this gen has been loaded with these hyped up multiplayer games that are mostly multiplayer only, though after the backlash from games like Evolve and Titanfall, they now have tacked on single players. And they come out, they're all hyped up, and then in a month everybody forgets these games even came out. And the newest one of these games is For Honor, also known as the game you'll see ads for in GameStop for a month. Now, looking at its premise, For Honor is already doing something unusual. It's a multiplayer melee combat game that pits knights against Vikings and the samurai. While that isn't too unusual by Steam standards, this is a game being made by Ubisoft Montreal, the division of Ubisoft known for developing Far Cry's numerous sequels, the Assassin's Creed series, Watch Dogs 1 and 2, and the Rainbow Six series. It's unusual in an age of game companies trying to make the next big shooter for a company like Ubisoft to take such a risk with a different title. This also means that because it's a Ubisoft game, it's $60. However, thankfully, I got a call from Family Video a few days ago saying I'd get a rental on them, so I decided to rent this game and see what all the hype for this game was about. After all, numerous people I know were talking about playing this game's beta online, so let's see if For Honor is any good. Now, the first thing you'll notice about the box of For Honor, no matter what system you buy the game on, is that it says it requires internet. This means that you'll have to be connected to the internet to play For Honor at all times, despite featuring a so-called single-player mode. Which means if Ubisoft pulls the plug, then the game will be as good as a coaster. However, you don't need to pay for PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold if you just want to play a mediocre single-player tutorial that's forced on you the second you start the game, just like some mobile game is, or multiplayer with bots. If you want to play the meat and bones of the game by playing online, well, you gotta pay up. Unless, of course, you buy the PC version, but let's be real here. PC gamers don't buy games unless they're free or under $15 with skins. Anyways, let's talk about the multiplayer. So multiplayer in For Honor is, you guessed it, the same garbage you've come to expect from AAA studios, but it's a different kind of garbage. So let's describe For Honor in the best way possible. Now, you've heard of the Warrior series, right? Well, the Warrior series is a Japanese game series where you fight tons and tons of enemies at once, only to succumb to some objective you didn't even know was there because you were too busy destroying scrubs. It's popular in Japan and Asian countries, but in the West it's only popular among weeaboos and people who want a historical themed action game. Now imagine a Western developer took control of this concept and made a multiplayer battle game based on this, and well, you get For Honor. See, it's a lot like Dynasty Warriors in many ways. You need to hold bases. You can kill minions like in that game, and if you hold the bases, your numbers will increase or decrease. But it's not that simple either, because you'll need to demoralize the enemy to win. It's not simple and straightforward like a typical mainstream-oriented game like Call of Duty would be. I don't know, it's confusing. There's also a deathmatch and a duel mode, meaning you only get 3 game modes in this $60 game. Fights feel like a far slower Dynasty Warriors without those bursts of fun where you're slicing and dicing enemies slowly as you go around the map. However, when you run into a real enemy, it becomes as frustrating as Titanfall is, where you're firing into a crowd of bots and missing the far deadlier real players, the ones that actually kill you and go for you. In this game, you're trying to slice and dice at the enemies, but instead you get killed and struggle to fight them, as combat in For Honor is very frustrating. You're trying to attack the enemy, but instead it's like a game of rock, paper, scissors. Hit buttons and move a stick and hope you hit them. And then when you die, you have to wait 12 seconds to respawn. If an enemy uses a hip execution move straight out of 2010's Halo Reach, then well, you have to wait longer, and in the end of the game, you can't respawn. And just like AAA shooters, there are campers. You'll be standing somewhere and out of nowhere 3 people will appear to take you out. What an amazing game. If PS4 controllers weren't $60 with no third-party replacements, chances are my PS4 controller would be on the ground in pieces right now, because this game is the kind of game that will make you do that. If 2 enemy players are nearby, you are done for. Once enemies start attacking you, it's hard to counter them as they spam you and you're dead. Amazing. I mean, isn't it just fun pressing R1 and R2 hoping you'll hit the enemies? And to make matters worse, For Honor is 100% peer-to-peer, and you'll get lag and connection errors at different times in the game. You'll start a game, and it won't even go a minute before you get connection errors, either with game state recovery messages or disconnection errors. This is perhaps the biggest flaw of For Honor, as even if you think the game is amazing, you'll still get connection errors. Keep in mind, all the gameplay footage I recorded was wired. I was not using wireless internet. Similar to other class-based shooters, you can pick classes called heroes with special abilities to spawn with. You can unlock more abilities the more you're willing to put up with this game's problems. Unlike Battlefield 4 or other multiplayer games with high player counts, For Honor only has 8 players on a lobby max and a bunch of minion AI bots that stand around barely doing anything, and they get killed easily. You can also get more classes and get upgrades and whatnot with in-game currency. Currency you can, of course, buy with real money instead of having to grind for it. Hey, at least the graphics are good in For Honor. This game even lets you take advantage of that PS4 Pro you got for Christmas. However, the game does feature amazing graphics on my thrift store PS4 and probably the Xbox One as well. All in all, one Amazon review put it best. In a month, people are going to talk about this game as much as they do, say, Pokemon Go, and nobody will be talking about For Honor. The gamers playing this now are going to move on to the next big multiplayer game, and GameStop is going to be flooded with used copies of this game. Sorry, gamers, but you should save your money and spend it on better games, and that's all that needs to be said, really. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.